Hello, welcome back. I am Darcy Darkness, and this is Confessions from the Dark Side. How are you all in this wonderful community? This is Reviews from the Dark Side, and today, what are we covering? Well, we are covering Immaculate, of course. I'm going to do a disclaimer because, well, it wouldn't be Confessions from the Dark Side if I didn't, would it? And it's just to keep myself and yourself safe from my bad filthy mouth. We are so full of so much adult content that some of you may think this isn't necessary and some of you think this isn't needed. If you are one of those people, then thanks for checking us out, but I will say this only once. If you can't stand the heat, then get the fuck out of my kitchen. Now, for everyone else who likes what we have here, then regular scheduled programming will continue. Shall we get started, and are we ready? So, like I said before, we are covering the film Immaculate that was released this year, and it comes under horror. It's rated R apparently, and it was an hour and 29 minutes long, which again, under 90 minutes for this time is actually. I actually said it's like doesn't happen very often, but the past few films I've reviewed have been around the 90, well, under 100 minutes, put it that way, which is again, we came from a time where 90 minutes was the films and then pushed the boundaries with huge movies with epic scenes and wars and battles and shit. So therefore, it's a it's long-winded. Immaculate. We are here to review, react, and discuss the horror movie called Immaculate. Have you heard of Immaculate? Have you had the chance to see Immaculate? Let me know in the comments below. So who is in Immaculate? Well, Sydney Sweeney. Again, I couldn't pick her out a lineup because I just see her as, it sounds terrible, a blonde girl in a horror film. Come on, we've had many, many women of horror over the years, but tends to be the young, beautiful woman would be classed as the dumbass who's going to get herself killed and pretty much everyone else around her. She plays Sister Cecilia. There's Alvaro Morte, who plays the creepy sexy priest scientist man named Father Sal Tedeschi. There's Simona Tabasco, who plays Sister Mary, and she's a bit of a tunt. Then there's Brenda Porcaroli, and she plays Sister Gwen, and she is very, very sassy, and we like her. She makes, again, viewing interesting, because the kind of portrayal of how nuns are when they're nuns, not before they become a nun, before they take their their vows and stuff. They just show it's like person grows up, becomes nun. They don't really. They have done it with priests and they've shown what they are capable of or what they have done in their past to get to where they are to become a priest, but not so much a nun, which is nice to see. There's a few unknown people, and again, too many to mention. I'll end up butchering their names, and I'll end up apologising, and it will be literally a whole episode of me apologising about not being able to say their names. Let's dive in, shall we? So, Immaculate starts like dark, very mysterious. Are you surprised? Nuns, the Catholic Church, a small unknown parish, a need to know parish, and someone trying to leave. I wonder why. What did they do? Did the Kool-Aid wear off and you realise that you don't want to ever feel the touch of another human? Is this when you wake up and realise that you need to get out of here and you've made a big mistake? Then the movie continues on with a young and apparently a waste of a woman from the police or security in a few scenes where the new nonna has arrived and she's invited to be there. It is unclear why she has been chosen at this point, but there is an underlying ulterior motive. No shit. It's the Catholic Church. They don't do things for the goodness of their own hearts. They want something, and instead of asking directly, they make it out that you're the chosen and making everyone feel special and cozy. Then it's game over. The security are kind of perving on the body of the actress who is playing Sister Cecilia, who is played by Sydney Sweeney. Not only did she star in this movie, she also directed, I believe. I think it was like a directorial debut. So Sydney Sweeney plays, like I said, Sister Cecilia. They focus a lot on her body. Yes, she's training to be a nun, and she may have not have taken her vows or has taken them or whatever, but she's a really new nun. And again, when she gets to Italy, she can't speak Italian, by the way, so she doesn't know what the fuck they're saying about her. So usually it sounds terrible, but if two men are talking within themselves, looking at you and making kind of gestures at you, I'm sure they're either insulting you or basically telling each other that they want to fuck you. So if you weren't aware that is going to happen, then seriously, head out your arse. So they're just like talking away between themselves. And don't get me wrong, that's actually committing a sin. for them to be actually doing that to her, and also the fact that she's a woman of God. I'm all for body positivity and sex positivity in this world, but come on, she's supposed to be a nun, and they're supposed to be in Italy, and they're supposed to be religious, especially Catholic, and they're doing this. But at the end of the day, they're men, and also at the end of the day, I'm me, and, well, there is that. That is all we got. The pervious. She arrives, like I said, she can't speak Italian. Some of the nuns feel like this is blasphemy that she's in Italy and she's been invited to be there, and she can't even speak the language, which means that she'll find it very hard to communicate with a lot of the older nuns and older people and patients and stuff that are actually in this congregation and parish. Again, it's one of the nuns, like I said, is a bit of a ton, and she just doesn't feel like Cecilia should be there, that she's not the chosen one type thing. All a bunch of jealousy, to be honest. She's a bit of an ass kisser as well, this nun. She's always trying to outdo everyone and no one gives a fuck. She's such an attention seeker, even for a nun. Then we have a rule breaker of a nun who becomes Sweeney's friend. There's older nuns in the parish that are giving me Rosemary's Baby vibes from the get-go. Very mysterious, very cultish, and very, don't leave me the fuck alone with them. She's gonna skin me and wear me. Go all Buffalo Bill. They are very observant of the new addition, and some special nuns, and I say special, they have red and black clothes which look pretty cool, but they're nuns, and have their faces covered, and they are watching from the upstairs, not dodgy or creepy at all. Masked individuals staring at us like we're the second coming of the apocalypse. Makes you wonder what in the actual fuck goes on abroad in parishes like this. And why do they need an outsider? Why do they need to find people? And why was she chosen? Well, she has a past that they feel she was chosen. She had an accident as a child where she ended up going under the ice and being under the water for her heart stopped for 7 minutes and she came back to life, and they see this as like, she is the chosen, she is the second coming, she is our savior, blah, blah, blah. That was the reason that she was chosen to become a nun. For one, she felt that that's what actually happened to her managing to stay alive and coming back means that God had a different purpose for her and a different future, so therefore that's why she became a nun, to devote her life to the church. And obviously this parish thought, that's our girl right there, that blonde lassie right there, we'll go for her. She fits the demographic that we need. She's trying to settle in, and they have a this big beautiful church, very old, very unique, and quite small, meaning it's a church full of mystery and secrets, so watch out, stay alert. And let's continue. There is a scene where Sweeney is investigating her new parish in the church, and she becomes across an altar with candles. This is basically just after they have a big banquet to introduce her, and it kind of chops and changes between this scene of her getting into the chapel and seeing it all quiet and just the candles being lit. Very, very eerie, very, very creepy. And then it switches between that and the party and the buffet of food and the kind of get-together gathering that they're having at the same time. So I just wanted to make that clear because it sounds a bit choppy when I'm discussing it. Not unusual in a church, but this is unique. And the youngish priest has a weird hotness about him. Not sure if it's because he has an accent and he's being overly friendly, but he has taken a special interest in the new nun that's just arrived. They have a conversation about faith and how he was a scientist before now. A scientist, especially one who was in biology with genetics type of field, you would never become a priest because of the beliefs and proof through science. He has this proof, this is what I'm trying to say, with him being a scientist, but he managed to just dish that for life as a priest. Everything he's learned would technically be disproven, or even disproven would have been used as an example of things in science not being truthful and not being proved by the Catholic Church. So it's it's concerning, put it that way, and a contradiction for him being a scientist. And apparently he doesn't regret it, giving up everything, the outside life, career, sex, for the church. What the actual fuck? Again, I will warn you, keep away from the Kool-Aid people. That's never good. She's handed a nail, this kind of artifact nail, and the priest, they're like talking about, what this nail is, what it represents, and apparently it's a nail from the crucifixion, and guess what happens? Yes, it's very similar. The minute she touches the artifact, it's game over. and she's now the chosen one for good, which technically if she was the chosen one, then it was going to happen to her anyway. She didn't have to touch a creepy ass nail that how many people have probably touched, licked, and inserted in themselves. I don't know how they figured out just by touch that it would actually make you the anointed, but however, they probably went through a bunch of experiments over time, no doubt. Things start happening that don't add up. You first think they aren't aware of what is happening to Sweeney, but then you start to realise that yes, they all know this was the plan, but they weren't expecting people to start adding up the weird occurrences and shit all around them to figure out that this has been going on for a long time, and this has been in the works for decades, and that the church isn't all what it seems to be. No shit. Kissing rings, not what you're thinking. It's the respect thing for the hierarchy of the church. Everyone is on it, it seems. The old priest, the young priest, the bishops, the cardinals, the faceless nuns, they're all in on this. All in on this. In the parish, they look after ill people, it seems. A whole lot of women that are off their rockers and in need of special care when patient has crosses on the soles of their feet. This is something that we find out is done to many that try and either leave or disobey. Oh my, I know where I would be. I'd probably constantly be getting that done to me for disobeying and not, well, just disobeying basically and being a cunt. We see her in confession. This is what is so wrong with Catholicism. This is such a fetish, getting people to profess their sins and seek forgiveness and to be punished by a priest because he's God's judge and jury here. As she goes around her daily chores, she feels like she's being watched, and the music and the atmosphere makes that clear that she is obviously under some sort of voyeurism. By who knows. An old lady patient gives her a looking over and she looks unhinged, and if she's trying to warn her about something, maybe something is here, something is coming, it's a warning anyways. The creepy sexy priest says these words: obedience, poverty, and chastity. Kinky much? They are saying this because she is pregnant and she is a virgin. And yet, she hasn't been with anyone ever, but there is a baby inside of her. Huh? Okay, not unusual at all. An immaculate conception, at least she's not 14 like the way they portrayed Mary. And she's legal at this point, but she has managed to get pregnant. Oh, okay. Is this why she was chosen, being dead for 7 minutes, PTSD, and thinking severing up your body to the Lord without your consent or knowledge sounds like legit? No. This is where the perversions continue, with the daily baths as her bump is growing. Her clothes are clinging to her wet body. Now, she's a nun, remember? A nun! All things wrong there. Trying to show everything, but also giving her some modesty by keeping the clothes on her even though they're clinging to her. They're doing lots of close-ups of her body in the wet clothes in the bath, clinging to her in the bath. And you know what it's like when you're wearing anything in water, it's going to cling to you, and if you have stunning breasts like Sydney Sweeney has, because the way they keep artsy fartsy and putting the camera right up to them, can't help but look, they're right there and wet with clothes just there, clinging. Her temperature gauges are out because, again, she's in. I can't imagine the bath is particularly warm, so and how long she's been in there, but her body is definitely cold. Her body is telling us that. And again, out on display for everyone. And she is a fucking nun. Again, how can this be acceptable? I know it's fictional, but still, come on. It must be against the church and their views and the ways the women, because women are seen as a sin, like a massive sin. How dare we have breasts? You would think? So she is almost taken out by the nasty tunt of a nun who hated that she was not chosen, and she didn't speak Italian, so it should have been me. Obviously, they didn't want you to be immaculate, so calm the fuck down. You ain't the hot nun. They don't want you. Just calm the fuck down. They dress her as Madonna, the Immaculate, the mother of all, and it's very churchy chanting shit, making her out to be this clutching my perils miracle, when we know this isn't always the case now, is it? She fakes a miscarriage when she starts to add things up that things are not okay and we are not in Kansas anymore. What she does is earlier on she can't actually take out this chicken because obviously they live in a working church with like farm grounds and stuff, so they have to like obviously kill the chickens and obviously eat them. So she fakes a miscarriage, and as she's in the car, like to try and escape in the car because they want to take her to the hospital, because they won't take her to the hospital unless they really fucking have to, which again is a wee bit creepy. They find out that it's the chicken. The nun phones the priest and then they come back. And then they pretty much make her a prisoner. No shit. No fucking shit. Because she's the vessel of the baby, the Immaculate Conception that they have created. Imagine having to fake that sort of trauma to yourself just so you can try and get away and flag that this is not right. And she's in a place where she can't speak English. So like she can't speak Italian, so she can't even speak to anybody or she can't trust anybody. So it's incredibly horrible to think that. So what they do is she's punished, and the punishment is she has the crosses put on her feet. And they brand them into them, and therefore she won't be able to leave because she's like a prisoner, like all the women that they've seen in the actual like hospital part of the church and the church grounds. These women have the crosses on their feet, and I kept thinking, is that because they were once subjected to this, because they went through this a lot apparently over the years? Was this to stop them leaving, and then they couldn't put them back out because of the things that they had subjected them to, especially if they haven't managed to bring this second coming of the apocalypse into fruition. So she's now basically a prisoner in this place. They're like such power hungry tunts, and they love their control. She loses her friend, the other nun, the badass, the cheeky and sassy one. She realises that the church aren't who they claim to be, and to shut her up, they torture her, and sadly at this point it isn't clear what they have done to her, but we find out later it didn't turn out good for her, which is upsetting for Sister Celcilia, who is played by Sweeney. So we found out one night there is a weird feeling in her bedroom, and a picture, and noises, and a feeling. The camera's zooming in and making everything, something is about to happen. And then a Bible passage is written. She looks it up, then she reads it's the angel of the light. And who is the angel of the light? The light bringer, but none other than Lucifer himself. He was the light bringer. This church has impregnated a young chosen woman in their eyes. Her past made her chosen to carry and bring forth the angel of the light. Who else knew about this? And does the Pope actually know? And that there are factions of his flock that are delusional and are actually have an obsession with evil and not for heaven on earth? No, just the exact opposite. What do they hope to achieve, really? See, this is the type of thing to have you banished. After being held captive and being watched, you find out the creepy sexy priest has an ulterior motive. And why he became a priest, his work as a scientist was in a similar field, and he uses this to bring forth this baby growing in her womb, the Immaculate Conception. No sex yet, but do you get the toy surprise? No sex, but do you get the toy surprise? Would you want it if it was the incarnation of Lucifer? Would you want to be the mother of hell on earth? I would. I think I would. It doesn't seem too much of a difference in the congregation parish for the treatment of their nuns and their patients. In this parish, for the bigger picture now, it does. It shows he failed. He's failed so much in the past. From the jars of fetuses and specimens over the years, he's like Dr. Frankenstein in clergy robes. More creepy nuns saying her eyes are like sunflowers, again not creepy at all, and how she is their saviour. Alright, there, psycho, calm down. Go sit, say nothing, stop staring, and stop scaring the rest of the class. She spends the rest of her time confined to a wheelchair, unable to walk, as she's had some nifty branding done to the soles of her feet. Their main objective, bringing this baby to term to deliver it, as they have had zero luck in the past, and this is the furthest they have come. So she's under protection, and they've kinkily strapped her to the wheelchair. They believe when you take your vows, this means you have given up your freedom of rights and choices of not only your life and faith, but your body to the church and the Lord, so you have no say. Again, I beg to differ. After falling out of her chair, she goes after the members of the parish that have done this to her, taken out and tortured many, many women, and she does it, well, excellent. The death scenes are excellent, and she uses almost everything to take out and kill everything and everyone that has done these barbaric atrocities to her and people of the past. Good on her. She keeps going. She has nothing left to lose. So it's all or nothing. It's her or them, and her against them all. And it's very fast paced, but again, you know what's coming. It's either she has the baby and the world is fucked, or she prevents it and does all she can to stop them from overpowering her and taking her last choices. Adrenaline, anyone? I think mine's almost kaput. Meanwhile, she does all of this while she's going through active, fast-paced labour, so think of how much pain and anger all at once for her to take out these members of the church, fight for her survival and escape. This cult, let's face it, is more of a cult than anything else, the church gone rogue in this parish. When church meets science, in this case, more over-sexualising nuns and priests. What the actual fuck? The way the priest puts his gloves on, the way he's acting, the way he's using them, it's like getting ready for some dungeon play. I shit you not. She finds her friend, sadly, in an unmarked tomb where it seems they have stored many nuns, and they are just left here until they can be disposed of. And she is scared, and this is when her contractions are weirdly not as in time as they should be. You know, the countdown to the Lightbringer arrival. A lot of fighting and badassery to defend herself, avenging all those women and her friend, and saving her own life so that she can prevent all of this from going any further. She gets out of the catacombs and tries to get as far from the church as she can, and as she's crawling through the woods under all the stress, there has been no complications again. This wouldn't have happened. Highly stressful occurrences in pregnancy and labour, things happen, but in this case, nothing. I have been through childbirth, don't want to see it. Does anyone? It's not pretty. It's a miracle, yes, and no miracle. You haven't killed people watching you go through this. The squelch was enough people looking freaked out as the baby has left her body. She looks unhinged and mental. She bites through the umbilical cord as you do in the woods, yes. Totally giving Bear Grylls a run for his money here. It sounded like a sponge. Very spongy. She looks around to see if she can find something, and I thought she was checking to see if no one had followed her. But no. She was looking and looking and looking, and it kept showing her eyes looking at things and objects that were around her. Because the baby was born, obviously she had to take this baby out. And as you're thinking, oh no, you're not going to do that. Yeah, she does. And I'll put it at that. I'll put a pin in that balloon and say the end. Bloody and gory and some slower parts of the storytelling. I feel this movie did well, but not great. But well, the story started to kind of go off, kind of, because they failed to bring in the kind of history at the start, or even kind of explain this type of parish and who they were at the start before the movie started. I would felt that would have been better. Like maybe like a wee passage like they do at the start, where they're actually like they have done in Stigma, and they did do in End of Days, where they're just like taking a passage from the Bible, and you know it would be something that would tie in the movie and the ending and everything like that, but they didn't. So again, still based in fictitious events, but again, Stigmata did it at the End of Days, so it wouldn't have been a problem. A different take to show that the church and Catholicism aren't as innocent as they claim. They are bad apples in all. There are bad apples in all religions, and Catholicism is no different. What did you think of Immaculate? Like I said, I thought it was bloody and gory enough. I didn't really like them over sexualizing nuns, but hey, it will happen, I suppose. There was a few things that I thought were they made no sense, but it was very contradictory, especially with the science part and being a priest. It'd be different if you were a priest first and then you left because you were seeking answers and then you went and did science and things, but it wasn't. It was the other way around. And it was the other way around because he wanted to do unethical experiments, and the church wanted to bring forth this, or this parish wanted to do this sect of this part of Catholicism wanted to do this, and by that they needed someone with the expertise and knowledge, and he was a failed scientist who was doing things that people thought were inhumane. So that's how he got to where he was, because he could do experiments, but he had to become a priest to basically do it. So he was going to he gave up his outside life so he could become creepy priest man who wants to dabble with genetics and Catholicism. So it was a bit meh, but it was good enough. I guess 5.9 out of 10, which again, I can understand why. Apparently, she auditioned for this film when she was 17 in 2014, and apparently never materialised. And then she took the role of producer, reached out to the writer. She's done a lot for this movie to come into fruition, which is good. So a movie that she actually went for audition for, and now she gets to be in it and be a part of it and the part of the creating of it. So that's really good. Would I recommend this movie to others? Yes, especially if you're into horror, and especially if you like good movie that takes a few jibes at the Catholicism. Why not? What is my rating for Immaculate out of 5? I would probably give it a 3 out of 5. The story was good enough. kept my attention. And for the main characters it was really about, which was Sydney Sweeney's character and the church, basically, it was mostly around her past and her present and what they wanted with her future. So I'll give it a 3, yeah, a 5, because I feel like it hit the aspects it needed, but I don't think it was amazing. But again, not many horror films will get a 5 out of 5. Did I enjoy Immaculate? Yes, I did. I really did enjoy it. And I ask you, the audience, the listeners, our community, here at Confessions from the Dark Side, did you enjoy Immaculate if you've seen it? Did you enjoy my breakdown, my discussion, my reaction, my review of Immaculate? Let me know in the comments below. And that was Immaculate. If you like content like this, remember to go check out Confessions from the Dark Side social media platforms, Twitter, which is X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Amazon Music, Spotify, and Buzzsprout. Let us know what you think over our social medias, and let's get chatting about this topic, all the topics. Let's grow our community and spread how awesome the horror community actually is. If you like to get to know us as individuals, then you can check us out in our links below. I am Darkside Darkness, and my channel is Behind the Mask Reviews. The spelling is on screen right now. I have a YouTube, an Instagram, a Twitch, and a Kick. Lunar has a YouTube, a Twitch, and an Instagram, and his channel is Lunar X Rising. You can reach out to us at any point through email, and for the channel, it's confessionsfromthedarkside@gmail.com, all one word, all lowercase. I am Darcy Darkness, like I said, and my channel is Behind the Mask Reviews, and again, the spelling is up just now because it's a bastard to spell, at gmail.com, and Lunar is lunarxrising at gmail.com. And like I said, this is Confessions from the Dark Side presents Reviews from the Dark Side. This was Immaculate. I am Darcy Darkness, and I will see you in the next one. Later.